and thanks for joining in. We are just going to start a very exciting session on the policy roadmap in wake of sectoral changes on this exciting sector, which is telecom. I think this is one of the sectors which has faced the pandemic, has been connecting everyone, and everyone remains connected because of the telecom sector, and is one of the most resilient sectors that we have seen. I think we and this sector has been in the news for all reasons over the last one and a half 2 years. So maybe I've got an eminent set of panelists with me. First, I'll just introduce myself. Hi, this is Prashant Singhal. I lead the emerging markets, technology, media, and telecoms practice for EY. And I've got with me today Balaji, P. Balaji. He's the regulatory head for Vodafone. We've got Radhachandran Shankarji, DDG DOT. We've got Manoj Mishra, policy head from GSMA. And we've got Yugal Kishore Sharmaji, CEO One OTT Entertainment. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Let me start by asking the first question to Sankhyaji. What is the state of the industry as per you? I mean, we've seen whatever has happened in the last 1 year. You know, the Supreme Court verdict is out. What is the state of the industry, telecom industry, from your standpoint? If you could, from a DOT standpoint, how do you see it?
Thank you, Prashantji. I think before we take forward, let me take an opportunity for two things. One thing is, as you mentioned, during the pandemics, the country suffered on many fronts, but I can share with proud that with the support of each and everybody as a stakeholder in the telecom sector, the services of telecom had been continued, irrespective wherever the lockdowns were, irrespective whether the movements were there or not there. And although the people working in the telecommunication had not been considered as the COVID warriors, but I can share with you with my deep regards to those families who had lost the members out of our staff during this, because tirelessly round the clock Ipsum sector has worked along with the police and doctors and others. Telecom people had been there. So I request all of us together that I think this is the time to pay the homage to all our people as well, who had given their life serving to the nation in this pandemic time. And another proud moment for us during this period is that innovative mechanism to track the people in the quarantine time with an indigenous platform, with the support of completely indigenously developed solution by the young telecom engineers of the DOT, supported by CDOT and all the telecom service providers. Without naming, I want to thank all of them, and we could win the best innovative solution of the year by the international body. So with this remark, let me come back to reply to Mr. Prashant. Prashantji, as you remember, yes, telecom has been in talk for over 1.5 years continuously for one or another reason. But then we are still happy for the things that, considering the facts that the AGR had been a subject for the survivability for some of the industry members, for large revenue to the government, but recognizing the other factors, that the one-time payment may lead to the issues in terms of the poor quality of the service. Maybe if the closure happens, the adaptability of the same number of the people by the other service providers, also considering the economic impact on the unemployability and other aspects, I think government has stand along with the industry. And as you may be aware, that we as the DOT requested the Honorable Court to grant the period of the 20 years. That shows that how eager, how committed the government is to ensure that the telecommunication sector per se stands in forefront, delivering digital India, delivering digital empowerment, and providing e-services platform to all of them. Now, primarily, as you know, we are governed by the NDCP itself. I think for us, NDCP is the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the document which is leading. And so far, we had been very successful in driving that. Whether it is FDI, yes, after NDCP, FDI, despite of all bad things happening, is still on the increasing side. Figures will speak of its own. I don't want to reveal from my side, that will be known in the public. Then the unique thing with respect to the 5G requirements also, what we had taken is that we awarded the work of developing the technologies to the consortium of institutions led by the IIT Kharagpur, wherein any entrepreneur, any startup, any individual can come up with his own design, with his own equipment, his own network element, get connected there to test the equipment and claim IPRs or the SAPs in respect of that, and which will definitely bring up India in the days to come forward, where we play the larger role for developing the technologies in the 5G scenario. Now, considering the fact that the AGR decision is already there, wherein the Honorable Court has reasonably agreed to the request, and now within the 10 years, the payments have to be made annually. I think this is one of the unique decision ever came out from anywhere in the globe, wherein the licenses have been awarded the time in a manner with a time frame of 10 years, which could evolve with time to time and then really give results.
Yeah.
So we
Maybe
are
I'll,
looking
Sankarji,
forward.
I will, yeah, Sankarji, I will get, since you talked about the AGR judgment, and I'm just very keen to get some views from Balaji. I hope you can share some views, Balaji, on how do you see post AGR judgment? Where do you guys see things? I know there have been a lot of press releases by yourselves. So just to get your views on, you think things are stable now? Are we getting towards stability? Is the uncertainty over?
Yeah, I think we have also clearly said a few days back that the Honorable Supreme Court, has clarified, and we respect the 10-year period that has been given. And also, I think the judgment has spelled out that, when we look at the whole payment schedule, that given what we've already paid to the government, the next payment schedule is probably due in 22. It gives adequate time for repair to take place in the sector. I think that's the good part. We have, as you know, as Vodafone Idea completed our merger, we launched a new brand because we've completed the whole, the world's largest merger in a record time of 2 years. And it would not have been possible if it was not, as Sakya Saab said, the support of the government, because they gave us adequate time for making sure that some of the resources could be shared for the integration to get over. So to have a world record kind of integration in a country like India is only possible when you have the ecosystem of the government and regulator, everybody supporting such an initiative. And I think the spirit of our people, we call them network warriors, through very, very difficult times, as Mr. pointed out, even during these difficult 6 months, our employees, our network engineers were there to make sure that we continue to add capacity. Significant capacity had to be added. Elements of and principles of 5G architecture were being embedded as we were doing a merger of the scale. So I think that's from a company point of view. As an industry, you asked the question. Clearly, we have now 4 players, 3 private and 1 government. It's excellent. Structurally, it is very good. But as has been rightly already acknowledged by the entire government machinery, that there is obviously some stress in the sector that needs to be addressed. I'm sure we will cover tariffs and flow pricing consultation, etc. later. But I think with a few steps taken in the right direction, as Mr. Sakia said, this can be the strongest foundation to create $1 trillion digital economy and $5 trillion Indian economy in the next few years. So a robust network structure is great. Steps are positive. A little bit more on the revenue side and the profitability side will ensure the repair is complete and investment continues to go into new technologies.
Well, that's right. So let's get to Manoj. Manoj, you obviously look at this from an overall GSMA standpoint. What's the mood for the Indian telecom business? And I know there's been a lot of money, as Sakia ji said, that the FDI is flowing in. But what's the mood globally about the Indian telco business? Are people excited to come in? Are you seeing a lot of interest since you are a part of GSMA, and I'm sure you kind of deal and interact with a lot of the operators in your association?
Thank you, Prashant, and very good question about that. I think previous speaker has already covered the point, good point of the which is coming this judgment of the Honorable Court, where court itself has recognized at para number 31 to 33, sustainability of the mobile industry is necessary, very much recognized. And for doing any investment for any country or any business, you require reasonable rate of return on that. So there are few parameters. I think there are challenges going on since last few years. So we are understanding that in near futures there would be a correction about that. If you compare with the key KPI which is coming across the world, at GSMA we see about that. For an example, I'm giving one numbers about that, what the ARPU. ARPU is the good indicator about where we are, and then after I will come about the return on investment. So at a world level, on an average ARPU per subscriber is about $8 per month, whereas in India it is just 1.63. We are hoping that in near future it may be by $2 for that. So there's a huge gap is there. So in terms of getting more investment, it is necessary for us. We should work in such a manner. It is a collective responsibility of the all stakeholder. It is not just for the government or for the TSP, all stakeholder. We should in such a manner, we should ensure the sustainability of this very much important industry. And I think very rightly mentioned by previous speaker, this is only one industry which has a larger impact across the industry. Nobody has such kind of the reach is there. And this pandemic time, it has proven that we are a lifeline for the individual, we are lifeline for the country for that. Therefore, the most important thing for us is that maintain the sustainability of the industry. So there's a two part. If I put separately what the responsibilities coming from the government, what the responsibilities coming from the operators and the others people. From the government point of view, we have a wonderful policy like the Sakia sir mentioned here, and the CP we have. We as a public policy person, we always define before the public forum saying the all characteristic or the all ingredient which is needed for any good policy, all the thing is there. But the thing is required, we need to be implement. It was issued in 2018 and there our target has been given till 2020. So we have already completed 2 years, only the 2 years left for that. On broader side, our big picture about that, we are expecting that the government and regulator should work in such a manner which maintain the sustainability and orderly growth of the sector. That is the two mantra I can call as an association about that. For the second point, if I am coming from the what we are expecting for our members or the operators or the others part other than the government, we need to be tap new revenue stream. We need to be look into that we cannot just simply survive by selling our connectivity. Now we have to talk about the intelligent connectivity, which is very much promoted by the GSMA. And when we talk about the intelligent connectivity, it is nothing. It is a combination of the 5G, it is combination of artificial intelligence, IoT, and the big data or the platform business kind. So this is a combination about that, and we need to look about a separate part of the revenue, not only for the consumer, business to business. Okay. And second part is the how we can optimize our cost. Yes, India would be the one of the leader in terms of the optimization of cost when we are coming about the infrastructure sharing. So infrastructure further need to be extended, how we can explore, infrastructure sharing can be increased. And second, how we can utilize the technology. So these things are coming into the picture that we keep into the mind. But rate of return, which is coming today, that is challenging. We need to be improve about that. Unless until we are going to not be improve that, then there would be a challenge. There would be a challenge. So that's primarily thought is coming across the world for that. However, amounts have been attracted, but these are the coming bundling of the various things. But we need to be focus our connectivity point. There are some challenges that need to be solved appropriate.
That's right. No, I think you touched upon thank you. That you touched upon the platform side and on the connectivity side, and then the platform side, and obviously the netco. And we'll talk about some of the policy changes which are required. But I think before that, I would just go to Yugal Kishorji. What's your view, Yugal? I mean, looking at from an OTT standpoint, how do you see the sector? How do you see the telecom sector? That is very, very critical from your business, right, and your industry. So, what's your view? How do you see this from maybe from an outside standpoint?
Yeah, thanks, Prashant. I think that's the main focus question today. And just to reiterate what Shakyaji said, I think the NDCP being the Bible of the country from telecom perspective, and I think with the statement coming from the respected Prime Minister of the country on the Independence Day, saying that there's a 1,000-day plan. A countdown has begun to connect the unconnected over 600,000 villages. I think that's a very bold statement. I think in these tested and troubled times of the corona, which the global economy has suffered, minus GDP, all those signs are very gloomy. But I think this was a very bold statement, and I think the vision to bring broadband for all, as if it's a right for every citizen of the country, the government stand over there is very bold, and to me, we are very strongly connected with the BharatNet project, and I believe that that's the project in the new avatar. They've been in the last 1.5, 2 years, a lot of back and forth, and quite rightly so, because there were non-serious players. And something like this, I always wonder right through my career, the government initiatives are fantastic in terms of the larger vision, but ultimately, it should execute in the way it is meant to be for benefiting the citizens of the country. I've in my career, we have seen the onslaught of the SWAN projects that came up about close to 15 to 18 years back. We have seen the various evolution, but the way this new scheme of things are working out to connect the unconnected in our country, as very rightly said by Balaji, that the $1 trillion plus economy, the digital economy, contributing in a major way for the $5 trillion economy. Of course, that goalpost will shift a little bit further from 2024. We all know, the reasons, and but I'm very confident and bullish that telecom will play a major role. As we know, every percentage growth in the tele density contributes immensely to the GDP of the country. So having said that, the PPP model getting evolved, coming from that perspective, from the private sector, and representing a large group, the Hinduja Group. At Hinduja Group, we are very excited. We did participate in the last, project for BharatNet, but this time, it calls for large, serious players into a large public-private partnership, and there is a vision which is being kept for 2 or 3 decades, 25, 30 years ahead, and that vision itself, led by the telecom secretary the other day, it was like a very, very forthcoming clarity in that partners meet that we had, and I believe that I believe that some more clarity coming over there, since it's going to be a very large, objective of the government to bring broadband to all its citizens. That's wherein I believe there would be some more work in progress. We have also shared all our inputs. There are things like right of way. There are various other challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I believe the revenue streams is more important, which Mr. Mishra as well shared. And how will the whole ecosystem? So there has to be a participation across the spectrum and make it into a self-sustenance mode and bring in the participation from the citizens of the country in far-flung areas. That's what I believe will the whole cycle work.
Right.
It cannot be just government-led. It has to be like overall
Right.
participation of the citizens. The various state machinery has to be involved. We have seen certain states and how it has taken off and how it is not.
Right. No, absolutely. I think I really admire, obviously, the statement made by the Honorable Prime Minister on the Independence Day about connecting all these 600,000 villages. I think that actually provides a vision to all of us in this panel and the industry at large to get the unconnected connected. Let me come back to Mr. Shakya. So, sir, what's your view? I mean, I think we have this situation about tariffs, we have this situation about levies, and I'm sure Balaji will add many more. But what's your view? Because there is, I mean, I think there is a structural change which is required, right, in the industry. We are all saying there's a huge potential in the industry. There is, connecting the unconnected requires a lot of investments which are required to come in. Requires a lot of capex to come in, whether it's 5G or spreading 4G. So how do we? What are some of the policy changes which the DOT is looking at or driving or the ministry is looking at, in your views, in order to get us there? What are on top of your mind 3 or 4 things that are required to be done?
I think the primary object to get the entire sector vibrant, the requirements relating to the infrastructure is what was on the prime stake. And as Mr. Yugal Kishore has rightly pointed out, that the announcement from the Red Fort, that is on the day of independence, connecting 600,000 on fiber. It's not mere connectivity. This is the connectivity on the fiber. It speaks about the commitment of the government. And it's not only fiberization of the 600,000 villages. In addition to that, the project which is likely to come soon about public Wi-Fi interoperability, which is going to be announced, I think, in near future, where the person can have the bandwidth from anyone and can get connected to any of the network, irrespective who is customer it is. Now, that is again will provide, say, the opportunity for the players to work together and provide the accessibility to the people. Further, under the Universal Service Obligation Fund, government is already working to connect northeastern region, to connect J&K, where the areas are non-accessible, where the areas are remote. Now coming to the specific topic of generating the revenues. See, few things have to be understood. One thing is, as far as tariffs are concerned, although it is controlled by the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India and the DOT has not the right authority to speak thereon, but the fact remains that the tariffs are under forbearance. Now, few months ago, the industry together decided that they need to correct their tariff slightly up. They made slight corrections and the revenues could be made as per their understanding. Since there is no ban, there is no control on the upper capping that the TSPs cannot raise their prices. They may raise the prices subject to they are able to provide what the customer want. If they are able to satisfy the customer based on the quality, based on the content, based on the demands thereon, probably they may justify the higher revenues coming and getting generated thereon. So that is on the part of the tariff balancing the returns. Now ensuring further business therein in the sector,
Do you think the tariffs today in this market are reasonable? Are reasonable considering the investments required? What's your view? Do you think these tariffs are sustainable, reasonable? What's your view? I know that it's a TRAI subject, but what's your view from a DoD standpoint?
I think I mentioned that it's not right for me to make a statement on the domain of somebody else's expertise. But what is more important is the tariff is as on day not controlled or say having capping. So the industry can think in terms of delivering to that. But one more point I want to make it, the people compare that we are the lowest in the world, yes, there is no doubt. And we congratulate, recognize, appreciate the efforts of the industry. But at the same time, we forget that if you are comparing the prices with the US, which is having the per capita income to the 62,000 per annum, and now that you want to compare with the Indian income of the $2,000, I think they are not comparable. So the spending capacity of an individual in the respective countries are different. So yes, we need the more revenue, but that revenue have to be generated by the different means and different services which are likely to come. Mere providing the pipe is not going to help now. I think that is the lesson we have to learn. 5G is not just a mobile communication technology that we have to understand. 5G is a collaborative approach for each sector, and the products which are to be developed and driven and provided by the telecom services along with other partners are going to give the revenue. If the TSPs are hoping that probably mere raising the connectivity and the bandwidth charges is going to help, in my personal opinion, it is not going to. You have to have some approaches like taken by Singapore or the South Korea or other countries where they had joined the hands with the requirement of the user. As on day, like we all remember that the people in our country are much more focused on the education of the children and they look for the good tutor. So can we think of as a product wherein the TSPs may be offering the tutors at a specific thing where they can tie up those with the groups, or the specialist services provided in agriculture sector or other sectors. So I think the business model has to change in itself. With respect to the taxation and all, the recommendations of the industry, they went to the finance minister. DOT to the extent possible gave its own view and on inputs, and what from the government side is more clear and visible that the government is committed to help in all possible aspects wherever possible, but the growth is not only possible with the support of the DOT or the government activities. It has to be a collaborative approach. Everybody has to come together. TSPs, investors, OTT players, individuals, industries, including academics and the designs. The most important aspect, the moment we give this innovativeness in the products, probably we are going to make the more business. As we know, we had slightly gone up in the innovative scale on the international platform. Probably with the time to come, if that scale goes much higher, we shall be able to sustain.
Right. So that's so let me just, I think a good point you made about business structure change or business model change. I think that obviously by itself requires a lot of regulatory changes, because today, the TSPs cannot do a lot of things that they could otherwise do with the current license regime and structure. But I'll just park that for a minute, and maybe Balaji, would you like to respond on what the TSPs should do, or what should be the top 3-4 agenda items for us to solve over the next 2 or 3 years for this industry to be back as, or you think it's a sunshine sector already, or to be back as a sunshine sector?
So I think, as I said earlier, and Manoj was giving some international references, I think that's important to keep in mind. So let's put it this way: we now carry nearly 65 times more data than we did 5 years ago, 4 years ago. We carry 2.5 times more voice than we carried 2 years ago. We have 600 million people that access mobile broadband. That's significantly higher than what it was before, 5x. Those are great statistics, but remember the revenue of this sector with everybody put together. So this is revenue of the sector. I'm not talking about individual companies. Is still what the revenue of the sector was 5 years ago. Okay, so that's not a good sign, which is the reason why, in spite of some initial steps, all the operators had represented through COAI to the authority to request them to start a consultation on the on the floor pricing, because somewhere it was openly stated that the ability for the market to itself self-repair is not there, and therefore there is something that's required to be done. The good news is, during the pandemic, the government has stepped in, and the regulator in the aviation sector has stepped in, actually put floor prices in place. It's not as if things are not done for a certain period of time if it is found to be in the larger interest. So I think it was a request that has been made by all players, and I mean all players. No exclusions here. And even recently, I think COAI has written, again unanimously, against it, unanimously, for the open house process, we have requested that to be taken up, given that the consultation started some time back, the pandemic came in, understandably. Because of that, the things have slowed down. But maybe now it's time to get the open house process started within the consultation itself, so that a widespread consensus is reached and things are done. Because connectivity in itself, as TRA chairman has said, as DOT have said, and other stakeholders said, needs to be by itself self-generating for profit pools to come in the future. At the moment, it is not a healthy situation. The ROI is nowhere in sight. So therefore, that needs to be fixed, no question about it. The aspiration of India to consume more voice and data is evident. As we start to move more people onto mobile broadband, as we start seeing 2G movement to 4G even more, that particular propensity to consume data and voice data particularly is going to go up. And therefore, I think it's a great time if we could get the revenue dynamics fixed. Thereafter, as Mr. Sakia said, and as Yugal Kishore mentioned, the NDCP is a great document. The good news is it actually talks about $100 billion of investment coming in. It also says that therefore there's a need for 3 or 4 things to be done. They've actually said we need to give full clarity on the revenue, the deductions. It talks about things around taxes to be rationalized. That needs to be addressed. One last point that I'd like to say: if the industry has 35,000 crores of input GST even today piled up, and it continues to grow and not diminish, it also tells you that the output revenue is less than the input, should I say, the input GST credits that piling up, right? So it gives you a sense of not just global parameters, but also, Indian local situation that says that the GST itself is piling up. Therefore, there must be some issue that needs to be dealt with. So it needs to be dealt with. I'm sure, as Sakia said, the understanding is there to take India and the telecom sector forward in an orderly manner, and therefore, between the regulator support and the government support, the industry will step up. I think we are doing everything that's possible, either by investing into content platforms or partnering with OTT players that are very, very innovative. The startup ecosystem in India is so vibrant that you don't need to do everything by yourself. You can actually partner and provide exceedingly good value to your customers. And so a little bit on the price side, a little bit on the taxation side, a lot more collaboration. And I'm sure that, we will get there eventually. So positive about the future. But
Balaji, do you see that, and do you see that even the license agreement needs a rehaul, because the license agreement obviously was written down, or the AGR definition was written down at the time when we were largely a voice business. Now the dynamics are changing. There's much more data being driven. We're talking about OTTs coming in. platforms coming in. Do you think it's time for us to relook at that?
I think so. The framework of NTCP provides for those modifications to be done. So that's a great part, right? So step by step, I think the concept of saying, partnerships in our mind are absolutely the way forward. Collaboration is the way forward, no doubt about it. Thereafter, if there are some players that want to kind of have adjacent spaces or other spaces that they want to get into, and the license allows them to be innovative, then we should allow that to be dealt with, because that is the nature of the evolution that's taking place. So some may want to do by themselves everything. Some may want to basically partner. We are in the partnership camp. There are others who might have other views. But to my mind, as long as innovation comes in the evolving areas, the better it is by having licenses address those issues in a proactive manner.
Yeah, yeah. So, so let me just come back to you, Yugal Sharma ji. Now, what is what's your view? You talked about the broadband and talked about the Prime Minister's vision. Now, there is some money which is still sitting in the USO fund. Do you think that should get utilized for the expansion of broadband? How should the government really use it to provide connectivity to unconnected on especially on the wired connectivity that we're talking about?
Yeah, Prashant. So the way I look at it, we are going to enter into really promising times post-corona. A. B. I believe the evolution in the last 3 decades, Balaji sits where those kind of organizations bringing the voice problem sorted on mobility, right? Then I also happen to be a co-founder at Tikona Wireless, where we try to solve the data problem wirelessly, right? And of course, with the 4G coming in and the whole ecosystem being built so fast, I think let's not forget we were the second country to auction the waves spectrum for 4G, the BWA. And the way the ecosystem builds so fast, of course, there are players who take the market, or the complete sector by its horn, and they shake it. And of course, the overall benefit happened to the sector. And today, why I'm bringing all these waves together is because the smallest of the smallest town is now getting on 4G as we move forward. It's proliferating faster than we can anticipate and see. All the numbers have been completely outnumbered in terms of the way adaptation has happened there. C, the smartphone has been made affordable. And when all this happens, Corona breaks in. Corona has made an Indian citizen, by far, which is very innovative, as Balaji said. Innovation, I think India stands for innovation, right? And we will see that in the coming decades with all the forecasts, all the kind of numbers that have been given for our country in terms of evolution. So having said that, on one side, we are building a fiberized network. When I was a kid growing up in the mid 70s, my grandfather said, "Oh, hamare gaon tak sadak aa gaya." Means till our village, there is road which has come connecting our village to the district headquarters. Take my word, this is a new road being built. Corona has made people to understand the applications and services. We couldn't have this kind of a conference in a telecom world, which we belong to from our day one of a career. And today, guess what? Corona completely makes everybody enabled on applications and services for different parts of the family's home. In one home of ours, online class is going on the same internet. In one side, we are running businesses. Like it's almost 6 months. I can see very closely because we are one of the largest players in fiber to home. And that's why we believe that the fiber to home, the FTTS technology, I call it that's the technology that brings future to the home. The F fiber is going to be the future. Application services being adapted, 4G proliferating up to the villages level. What Shakya ji said, this is a policy work going on, which will be going to announce. Wi-Fi is going to be seamlessly available. Somebody could roam on a Wi-Fi network of ABCD telco and an ISP like ours, and get the benefits of roaming on Wi-Fi on data. Mobile data
Right.
offload will become the need of the hour, because no matter what, how much spectrum you slice and dice, you would always need to have a mobile data offload strong ecosystem in the country, right? Your last mile in villages will be ultimately delivered on wirelessly on Wi-Fi, and having said all this, this is my a big observation, working closely for the Delhi Wi-Fi project, the Delhi government's free Wi-Fi project. We are the ones behind the scenes, as you can say, system integrators or contractors, working closely with the partners there who have won the bid. And I was like taken aback where some students, some children were sitting under the hotspot in a park and doing online classes.
Yeah.
Guess what? Their
Absolutely.
internet was not in their home, or somebody's internet, if it was in the home, did not work. They came to the park and they were doing online classes. So I remembered that 30 years back, 25 years back, the generation that we all belong to, electricity, sodium vapor lamp pole was the place for children who really want to do something in their life, to read books. Today, that will be taken over by the Wi-Fi hotspot access point. This is my vision,
That's right.
and I can see it happening.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the early ads. I don't know if you recollect or not, that Idea had erstwhile Vodafone Idea's idea, where it was in a chopal.
Children were in the village
people,
under the tree.
children were in the village and online education was on, and I still remember that. And and obviously Abhishek Bachchan said, "What an idea, Sarji! Amazing, right?" And we are seeing that as a real. We are seeing that as a reality right now. But as we all said, that this, the Corona time has got us maybe 10 years ahead when it comes to digitization, when it comes to adaptation, when it comes to all these online channels and of course everything being done online. Let me come to Manoj. Manoj, I think.
Sanjeev, before you move forward, can I supplement to the Universal Service Fund part?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Right, because you raised and Mr. Yugal has rightly answered. But just to supplement that, one thing is very sure, government is committed to connect all unconnected. Now, that unconnectivity may be by virtue of the remote accessibility or because of the very difficult terrain. So, under the USOF fund schemes, in collaboration with the ISRO and the Department of Space, the DOT is already working out to have a large number of villages connected on the GSAT 11 of the ISRO, on the GSAT 19 of the ISRO. Further, two more satellites, GSAT 20 and GSAT 29, are also being taken care. So the connectivity can reach to the remotest possible places. In addition to that, one more thing, as part of our islands, even the Lakshadweep is going to be connected on the submarine optical fiber cable. So that is the way the money collected under the Universal Service Obligation Fund is going to be used to safeguard the interest of the citizen and make really welfare state in terms of providing the connectivity and the broadband. And one thing to support Mr. Balaji's point, whether we will be requiring change in the licensing regime, I just want to get you informed, which most of you may be aware, the license is technology neutral. It is technology agnostic. It doesn't say whether you are going to use 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. I think those days are over. Whether you are using the network infrastructure through the circuit switch technology or through the IP technology or for some other technology is going to come in future, licenses do not speak of the technology. I think that is the platform which enables all the industry stakeholders to make the things more innovative, and that innovation can only lead us to the desired goal of the NDCP, and I'm sure we will be able to achieve that.
No, absolutely, sir. I think we were alluding more to the AGR definition under the license and that, if you're talking about a changing business structure where the TSPs really become the digital service providers or digital service providers, then I think that requires a change. But maybe we can hold that. I want to get Manoj in. I want to actually understand from him, where are we, Manoj, on 5G? I know globally people are moving. What's your view? Is India? We are slightly behind. We haven't got onto the spectrum, but are we very behind? Are we slightly behind? Do we need to catch up? What's your view? And there's a lot of innovation that we have talked about. And I think there is a lot of innovation which is already happening on the 5G gear. We've heard about that. That Indianized version of 5G gear is coming, which is great to promote local manufacturing. So where are we, and what do we need to do there in order to really get India as a hub of innovation from a 5G use case standpoint and from a 5G gear standpoint?
I think very good question, Prashant, on that. Let me update about, yes, till now, as per data available with the GSMA, about 100 operator across 44 countries have launches for 5G services. So this is the data available on the 31st August. Yes, we are struggling at right now. What were the targets set by government itself? We are planning to that we will complete the spectrum auction or the other formalities by 2020, which is a struggle is going on. So that is a matter of time. But support from the both side, operator and government, both have shown their interest getting into the 5G business for that. That the things is very clear. But when you are coming about the investment, how the investment made across the world about the 5G, just understand what the things are going on world level and in fact in the APAC level. I will provide few numbers you can judge about that. So as per the GSMA data, we estimate that by 2020 till 2025, 5 years of the time, we are projecting there would be an investment of capex. Operators are going to be capex investment about 1.1 trillion US dollar. Out of that, 78% belong to the 5G investment. And these capex is just for the network investment. It is not including the spectrum. The spectrum is the separative for that. When I am coming to the APAC, recently we have estimated for the APAC during the period of 2020 to 2025, there would be US dollar investment 414 billion US dollar. This is the amount we are estimating for that. If I simplify these numbers in terms of on the year basis, so on an average, it is desired or required for every operators or the average level about the 20% of your revenue need to be invested. Then you can find out the pace of getting into the 5G business part. If I translate the numbers for the India, as per the data which is available with us, India's mobile sector revenue, which is about 20 billion US dollar per year is there. And if I apply the 20%, so we need at least 4 billion US dollar to investment every year. So how the numbers is coming? Same question is coming for before us, whether the revenue which we are earning, at the rightly said by Balaji sir about that our pace of total revenue, it's much behind which we are earning 5 years or 4 years back, So still we are struggling at the level of revenue. So therefore there is a immediate, I am not coming because Saket is also very rightly mentioned, market is open. But market is competitive for that, but some kind of the correction is immediately required in the ARPU. Otherwise, there is a challenge. There is a challenge. Talking things are very good that we have a very good policy. NDCP is forward-looking policy. But at the end of the day, you need something input. Input is the money. Money is coming where? From the revenue or the ARPU for that. So that correction is required. Let me touch upon the others point, how we can get it. There is a one way I think I have touched upon. We can think about the additional revenue, optimization of the cost, and there are certain things which is a low-hanging fruit for us, which is government itself, regulator, entire stakeholder of the sector has recognized. Why not the decision is taken about that? For an example, spectrum usage charges. These days after 2010, all the spectrum has been acquired through the market prices or the auction. then what is the need of this spectrum usage charges? Why? We should just collect about the administration charges. And there's a recommendation from the Honorable TRAI is there that action need to be taken. Second point is coming, I'm touching upon the regulatory levies. License fee. Similarly, government can think about that, providing more cash flow for the operator, just rationalization of the license fee itself. In fact, yes, government has utilized very rightly whatever the USO fund they have collected over the period of time. When the market is competitive and what the number available coming from that, India is coming one of those countries who have a 99% of the population coverage. They have a telecom coverage is there in compared to the world average, which is just 87 point something. So we are much ahead about that. So we have sufficient money that can be utilized, but further we can think about that why we should not abolish the USO levy, because the time has come across the world, across the countries. Government has abolished the USO fund, and they are providing a competitive advantage to the telecom service providers and empowering to the telecom service providers that they can utilize. 5% is a big money. They can utilize according to the competition and requirement of the market where they wanted that. And there is a huge amount is pending with the government that they can utilize for the future. But at least immediately they can do some kind of the rationalization in that access. That can be happen. And third point I would like to mention about that, which is I think industry need to be highlighted, levies on the levies. What is this? When the telecom sector is paying license fee, even the repayment of the spectrum or spectrum usage charges, they are also paying GST on that. So it's also indirectly, double taxation kind of the thing. And one of the purpose of the any government is that if there is any double taxation is happening in the taxation system or the fiscal system, that need to be corrected. These are the low hanging fruit. Nothing, right rocket science is required behind it. That can be happen. And fourth one, I think there's no question about that. This sector is the most important sector and essential sector. And it is very well recognized in the NDCP and government. Everyone is recognizing essential sector. Why not under the GST regime? It has been considered as an essential sector and we need to be, to pay a 5% GST. Why we are paying 18% GST? So these are the, immediate relief can be provided to the sector, and it is going to provide a sufficient free cash flow, which is going to be invested back to the industry and coming back. And then we can, of course, come into the race of the 5G. And there's no challenge. India has all capability. And I'm happy to note that whatever the data available with us, India is going to lead the growth of the across the world. The number which is coming, 25%. Last year, GSMA has released 5G ready report where we indicated that by 2025, whatever the numbers going to be added in the telecom sector across the world, 25% is coming from the India. If the entire boost is coming from the India, so we are not behind it. It is a matter of how we are implementing our policy and the others thing. So we have a sufficient money which can be put back. And the same thing is happening for the internet. So the broadly sense is that there are few items which require urgent action. And if government is taking that urgent action under the relevant NDCP's clauses and recommendation which made by the TRAI, then of course we are going to be matched or the march with the others part of the others countries. And another point is coming, which I would like to be shared with this forum also. 5G is not just a responsibility of the TSPs. It is not driven by the consumer. It is driven by the industry also, where industry, and it is going to creating a job. And I think all of us is agreed. It is a collaborative where we are going to collaborate and compete to each other. So collaboration is the prerequisite part of this thing is there. Then it is desirable that we should act accordingly and ensure that every person is participating inside the system. So it is somehow some broader responsibilities coming from the government and regulatory side, and then the commitment is also desirable from the industry and the other stakeholders. So that's
right.
something.
So I think Yeah. So Manoj, very, very good points that you've made. I think, we talked about the revenue side. We're talking about the cost side, basically free up the cash flow, get that cash flow into the investment for CapEx and grow 5G, create innovation. I mean, I think that's absolutely right and valid. And I think just also for records, I think the EBITDA margin for most of the Indian telcos is, if you benchmark that with the global telcos or some of the global telecom companies, I think we are fairly lower when it comes to the EBITDA margins as well. And that was also one of the points to keep in mind, that whilst the tariffs are low, it's also driven by the purchase price parity or the per capita income. But if the margins are lower for India, then we add up having lesser cash flows. I think I'm going to come to Mr. Shakya right at the end because he's going to answer a lot of these questions. But before that, maybe, and Manoj, thank you for pulling this up, right? Balaji, you want to add anything to Manoj's list very quickly, and then
No, I think uh, there's broad alignment on the topic across the board, and I think Manoj has summarized it well. Yugal Kishore talked about some very important points. I don't think there's any disagreement. Connectivity by itself needs to be profitable, so you can continue to make those digital highways, which is what Yugal Kishore so eloquently talked about, because that is absolutely critical. And as far as the cost structure is concerned, I think this industry has been hugely innovative. Sharing, trading, all those guidelines is something that we request to the government. The government is responsive. If it's tower sharing, we've done that. If it is, outsourcing stuff in order to reduce costs, that the core competence is what we retain on servicing customers and offering products and services. We've done that. The rest is now with the ecosystem that's doing well. We've even stayed out of traditional models of trying to, push devices as a means of offering services that might be relevant in other markets. But in India, if the smartphone and device prices are already low because of the efficiencies that are built by the ecosystem, there's no reason why we should interfere in that process and try to fix something which is not broken in the first place. So the self-constraint of the industry is there. Cost structures have been optimized. So those few things that are required on the pricing front, the few things required on, to your point, on allowing those, unshackling a little bit to allow for some innovation to come in. And the third is on the cash flow and tax structure. If those things are done, there is no reason why we cannot soar again to levels that are unimagined. So I think that opportunity is there, and this broad alignment as I see out here.
Yeah. And Yugal, would you like to add to any of the final questions for Sakya ji?
No, I think I would just like to add on the 5G, and I think what Balaji said, and I can see a very happy Balaji after this AGR murky clouds are over, and what a good timing that the VI, the new Victory brand, has been launched, and I think I'm very positive that, and I've been always saying that I think to me the rule of three actually applies in in at least a telco, which I've been saying from my beginning. Rule of four, but rule of three, like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and that'll put together, create a enough pie for everybody. So AGR, I think, is a very positive thing that paves the way now for the very vibrant third operator getting up, and which was very much required. And I think we could see the sulky part over now and the murky part over now, and with more positivity coming with the new brand and the all news that we are seeing, and of course the market also behaving very positively on all that news. Second, price rationalization, because the 5G has to come in. We as a large conglomerate globally also looking at 5G, maybe not as a telco, but as a 5G enterprise grade, solutions for our manufacturing plants and various, real estates that we have globally, and of course India I'm talking about. So there are a lot of 5G enterprise applications. Price rationalization, because I think 7x of UK base price, we are our base price 7x, 2.7x of Italy, 3.8x of South Korea. I'm sure that's where the government, Shakya ji, will look into it. and also give a special a consideration for enterprise 5G for our various things. And lastly, GST was a very good point what Manoj ji said. I think we are part of essential services, and I think during all this corona phase we did I wouldn't say that we missed it, but I think we did get a lot of respect when we had on all our service vans and our vehicles internet services, essential services. So nobody touched us, and we got free access. Passes were given, very positively and nicely around the country. But that should also translate into the GST essential services. So that's a good point from Manoj. So these are all my wish list.
That's
Also.
really, absolutely. And maybe I know that a large part of, I hope the pandemic gets over as soon as possible for us in India. But I think one of the other things that, at least at that time when I was talking to a few of the operators, they all said that we should also get some benefit, if nothing else, deferment of license fees by the government, revenue share by government for a few quarters, because we are pushing in so much and making sure that the services are being provided. So Saket, I would add that still, because the pandemic is not over as of now. I know some of us are in our offices, but we are risking ourselves being in our offices, right? And I would also add one more point here to what Manoj said, that with now the industry being a four-player market, and of course one PSU and the other three private, how would the spectrum auction, will there be an auction again, and or is there a different way that the government should start thinking about giving auction to the operators? So is there a structural change which is really required there, considering that the number of operators have come down? When we started the auctions, we possibly had many more operators, and there was many more coming in, or we actually anticipate that there will be new players which come to the market when we start the auction. So I would just add that to the list that we already discussed as a panel. And the next 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, sir, is all yours. We all want to hear what you can help us with.
Okay. So thank you, Prashant ji. I think a good list and a very good wish list, I should say. Let me come out one by one. First, with respect to the spectrum usage charges. Why, in addition to the spectrum, auction cost is being levied? I think once you go to the principles of charging, the spectrum auction price is coming upfront and then getting, divided into the equal EMIs and then being paid. Practically, the spectrum usage charges in terms of the percentage makes it balanced on the progresses and the customers acquired by the specific TSPs. Now, if somebody is able to utilize the same spectrum and able to generate larger money, the component of license fee in terms of SUC is to be paid larger by that party. And now in the rollout process, by virtue of many other considerations by which other TSP could not gain the large base of the customers or the high usage customers, then the same spectrum utilized by him may not be as efficient as it was done in the one. Now the revenue generated by the second one is definitely comparatively less. So since the generation of the revenue is less, his component of payments towards the license fee also goes less. So this is a balancing mechanism that, although we understand that 3+1 players are there, but we also recognize the fact that all four are not at the equal footings. So SUC is just a balancing mechanism which ensures burdening of the, say, license fee in a different quantums to the different operators. Number two is with respect to the license fee. Let me share, as you are already aware, and definitely Mr. Manoj and Balaji had been the part of that. License fee has always been a dynamic. There was a time when it was 15%, there was a time when it was reduced. Now, as on day, it is 8%. Suppose there is a requirement and there is a comfort for the government in terms of, say, collections. the government may consider taking everything into consideration. Why I am telling? One thing we have to all understand, that we are the country which is a welfare state, democratic state, and we have a wide gap of haves and haves not. So from somewhere the connectivity is required, not only in the telecom sectors, even on the front of the GST. When any decision is taken by the government has to ensure that they have a reasonable collection by which they can serve to the citizens. So I believe the questions relating to the reduction of the GST and all, the industry keeps on putting their request forward to the Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Finance definitely is listening them, and at appropriate time, if there are right ecosystem comes, probably some decisions may come in that direction. Now coming to your question, whether the spectrum auction thing will get a shift as a principle, one thing we have to take a note, that the requirement of spectrum auction came out from the 2G scheme. In that scheme, primary it was allocation which was on the administrative basis, and it was the again Honorable Supreme Court which directed the government to decide how the spectrum utilization is going to be, which they had declared as a natural resource belong to the citizens. So now it's a citizen centric property, and the government is only a trustee to that. Hence, unless something comes from the court, it is less unlikely that there is going to be a principal change in terms of awarding the spectrum other than the spectrum auction. There was another factor with respect to the 5G requirement. The spectrum available in the 3.5 GC band, we have some spectrum being utilized by the defense services or by the Department of Space. So we have to ensure whether we can get the entire that band available for the spectrum. So I think there are continuous dialogues amongst the Department of Space, Department of Defense, Department of Telecommunication, to come out to a synergy wherein the maximum available spectrum could be there, which can be put for the 5G kind of auction. With respect to the tariff price, although I mentioned that I am not the right person, industry has already put forth its request to the TRAI. TRAI has done some consultations, and probably considering all the requisite inputs available with them, TRAI may take a view, and that will, I think, decide what is going to happen or not. So this is by and large what is the position from the policy perspective from the DOT. But we are sure, one thing we all recognize, and I think reiterate on behalf of the government, that the telecom industries has been there moving hands in hands together with the industry. Whenever there are requirement to have the policy shift, whenever there are requirement to have the somewhere pitching in, I think at the right spots, at right direction, whether the change was there from interconnected charges, whether they were relating to the sharing of the thing, shifting the license revenue on the usage basis. Everywhere the government has worked based on the requirements of the sector, and I'm sure currently also present government under the vibrant leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister and his own commitments, that is through coming from the Red Fort, I think that is the direction which is crystal clear for us, and we as the support group have the duty for us, or duty bound, to serve the nation in the direction which can lead to the entire country towards the innovation, better results, better economy. And I'm sure the contribution of 1 trillion by telecom sector in the forthcoming 5G trillion expected economy, we shall be able to deliver more than 1 trillion. That is what I think the commitment I individually feel we have to make together and strengthen the hand of the Prime Minister and the government, so the country can really become more,
Absolutely.
like the welfare kind of the state, and the happiness index also increases along with the economy. I think this is what I would like to.
No, absolutely, sir. And I think it's been a wonderful panel, and we all look forward and look towards, not look forward, but look towards a greater contribution and growth of telecom in the overall economy, and maybe from a $20 billion sector revenue to move to 30, 40 billion over the next year or 2, 3 years, changing the structures and resolving some of these. And as you rightly said, that these are all under consideration by the government and will get resolved at some point in time at the soonest possible. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for all your time and a very, very lively debate. And really thank you, and have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.